we did have screwed up.
We had a lot of screw-ups. Like afterwards, we would play with a couple, and then afterwards we're headed home. We're like, why did we do that? Well, you didn't say no. Well, you didn't say no.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult the medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 67, everyone. We're Finn and Emma.
Fresh back from Atlanta Poly Weekend. Still in Atlanta.
I was like, yes, we're still in Atlanta.
Holy shit, there's a panda bear head.
You never saw those?
All right, we're going to have to send out a picture of these panda bear heads. We're
okay.
in this closet.
Wait. Yes, we are currently standing in a closet. Some listeners that are from Atlanta are incredible people and reached out to us before we came here. They heard we were coming to Atlanta for the conference, and they invited us to stay and get to know them and they showed us some of Atlanta. So that was amazing, and we've had a wonderful time, but we're currently in their closet so that we can get a little better sound quality.
Yeah, they are some of the coolest people on the planet. So thank you to them for everything and for reaching out. And
we really had a wonderful time.
We did. And we had an awesome time meeting tons of people at Atlanta Poly Weekend.
Yes.
Some of our previous guests were there. Tons of new, fresh faces were there. Lots of awesome people who were excited to hear about the show were there. So it was all around a great weekend.
It was really fun putting faces to names of previous guests that we've had, even though we met them over Skype. It's not the same as in person. So,
and speaking of faces, these fucking panda bear faces.
I can't believe you just noticed
I don't know. Well, I just thought they were a pile of towels. They're literally panda bear heads.
They are.
We will get permission to post a picture of these panda heads. I'm going to wear it.
I know you are.
Okay. So that's fun.
So look in the show notes, guys. This will be funny.
And so other quick travel we're doing, World Domination Summit will be in Portland, June 24th to July 1st. This is not a conference for the lifestyle or BDSM, which some people thought because it had domination in the name.
Yeah, it's not related to non-monogamy. However, it's going to be an awesome conference, and if you're interested at all, go check out the link in our show notes and read about it, because we will be there for that week, and we would love to meet people that are out there.
Yeah, we're not sponsors or anything for them. We're going to be there attending all the different workshops with everybody else. So if you're going to be there, look for us. If you're going to be in the area, give us a shout out.
Yeah. You might have noticed at the beginning of this episode, there was a little bit of new music.
Thank you to Siggy.
Yes.
This is the second time we had to record this because my wife messed it up and called him Ziggy.
No, I didn't.
You said Ziggy.
No, I didn't.
A little bit of Ziggy.
Anyway, that wasn't the reason we were re-recording.
It's part of it.
No, it's not.
So thank you to Siggy for the music.
Siggy.
And thank you to anybody in the future who sends us music. We will try to work it in as we can.
Yeah.
We
are trying to get new music here and there, so we're just trying to see what fits. So send it to us.
The other thing we forgot to mention, who the hell we're talking to this week.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
Donna and Alex.
We were too excited about standing in the closet.
And no, it was the panda heads.
Okay, Donna and Alex. This week's interview is amazing.
Yeah, they are a couple who is 60 years old. They've been married for 32 years, and they've been doing the non-monogamy for 22 of those 30 years. No.
20-ish.
Damn it. 20 years out of the 32. It's been a long time.
Just say ish, and you're good.
It's fine. They're great. So, yeah, it's a really cool conversation because we've had a lot of people reaching out to us saying how they think they can't get into swinging or non-monogamy because they're too old. And those people are usually like 50, and these people are 60. And then they also talk about people that they know who are way older than they are. So it's an awesome interview. It's really cool hearing about just the outlook on life as we get older is not just everything dries up.
Right.
So thank you to them for sharing that, and we look forward.
They have a wonderful attitude and story, so enjoy this week's interview. Real quick, though, 2 announcements. If you haven't heard of freestdcheck.org, please go check it out. It's a relatively new resource to us, but there are a bunch of places in the U.S. in certain cities where you can get free STD check or testing. So
not a paid sponsor, obviously. They do it for free. We found this a couple weeks ago, and we really like to promote the STI testing. And if there's a free resource, that's what we would love you to do, if that's what it takes. So please do that. If you can't get to one of those because there's not one close,
go to freestdcheck.org. Nope, not free.
You are already there. We just determined.
That's not what I just did.
We just determined they can't go there, so you could try stdcheck.com.
Yes, that one fits right on that.
And while you're there, you can save $10 and you can get STI testing done. It's super easy and convenient. You don't have to make appointments, and you can get your results in as little as 1 day if you paid for their expediting service. So it's super awesome. Check it out, save $10, and it helps support the show and support us.
Yes, go to normalizingnonmonogamy.com/resources to see all of those links.
I think that's everything. We should be able to go and hear what Donna and Alex have to say.
Let's go.
Long time coming, but Alex and Donna, thank you for coming on the show. We've been trying to get in touch for a while, but
we've been in touch. We've just been trying to schedule this interview for a few months.
Because of our travel and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, thank you for finally making it happen. And yeah, we're excited to talk.
So are we.
Yeah,
Awesome.
So I guess we don't know you that well, and the listeners, of course, don't know you. So can you give us a little bit about your background, what you're comfortable sharing?
Let's see. We're 60 years old. We are married going on 32 years. We have 2 kids, a boy and a girl in their 20s, so we're empty nesters. They're off.
And they don't live near us, so we don't have to worry about them
showing up
in time, right?
Showing up at the same club.
Right.
There's a story to that too. But anyway,
we'll circle back.
Right. We're both professionals. We both work crazy hours, and I guess we work hard and play hard.
Right.
So and we moved down to South Florida just 3 years ago.
Okay.
From the Northeast, so we're still getting used to it.
Right.
Permanent snowbirds.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we moved down actually for work. So
okay.
One of those freak ones. A lot of people in meeting don't already retired. Like, no, we're still working, and we'll be working for a while.
Right. Hey, that's all right. At least it's warm there.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with the snow and the long commute.
Perfect. Well, I guess in terms of the non-monogamy thing, what does it look like for you two in a short, brief summary, and then we can peel it apart like an onion. What? I won't say that again.
We've technically been in the lifestyle of non-monogamous for probably like 20 years. But for, I'd say about 10, 15 of those years, we were with one couple.
Okay.
And I don't know about Alex here, but for me, I didn't even know that the lifestyle existed. We were just, with this one couple, it was just friends that became friends with benefits. And so when that sort of fizzled out only because of life getting in the way of different things, we found out about the lifestyle.
Okay.
We've been since our first trip to Desire is when we found out about all the lifestyle sites and meeting people, and we've just been exploring it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of stumbled into it, but you didn't know what it was until
like
that couple kind of fizzled out. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the couple who got us into it were actually friends of Donna's from before I entered the picture, and then kind of once we were dating for a bunch of years, and we were friends with benefits before. I'd like to say the friendship got out of hand. So I met them somewhere along the way, so probably somewhere in the year before we got married. And they were always, the husband was always joking about, after we got married, we would get together with them for dinner, go to the movies, go to a show. And he was always joking, hey, why don't we, swap and, stuff like that. We're like, no. And
And somehow we'd watch like really bad porn.
Mm-hmm.
It was, really bad porn days. And we'd watch that. Then I think they had a waterbed. So they said, why don't you try the waterbed? And then the wife had some vibrators like way before the magic wand, good ones. It was like these, you'd buy the back massages that you would use as
Yeah.
And she'd say, I want to try this. We got this. So they were slowly introducing us into this. And then somehow along the way, we were trying to remember it all. We swapped, and we were only soft swapped them for the years we were with them.
But it turned out that the wife
wanted me.
Really was behind it because she really wanted Donna.
Right.
So it was like play with Alex to get Donna.
Right.
Kind of.
Okay.
Okay. She and I played a lot too.
Right.
So and we spent a lot of time with them. We would get together. We went away for weekends with them. We just did a lot of stuff together, and it was just kind of like the sex part of it was
friends
just it was just friends with benefits.
Right.
And we didn't know soft swap, full swap. It just was not part of our lexicon.
Right.
At the time.
And like I said, we didn't know that. I didn't know. Maybe you know, but I didn't know that other people really do this.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many people do this?
Yeah. Really? So early on, for that entire duration though, it was just what you would call now soft swap, right? There was never a full swap. Okay.
Yeah. And Donna, did you experiment with the other woman then? Did you? I guess how do you identify? Do you identify as bisexual?
It's funny. We always argue about that. I guess so, because I don't go out. I say I'm not because I don't walk around looking at women going, oh, I really like to do her. She's really pretty, whatever. But I really enjoy being with a woman. And so, with her, we played just the two women. And there were times when the two of us would just get together without the guys.
Okay.
And we would have an afternoon together, whether at my house or her house. So it was something that I think I always thought about. Like if you want to talk about fantasies or whatever, I always thought about it. And I guess I can say I'm bisexual. But like I said, I don't walk around looking at women going, oh, I want to be with her. Yeah.
If you tend not to do that for guys.
No, guys I look at more. Yeah.
So even after it fizzled out, have you remained friends, or was sort of the end of that the end of the friendship as well?
That's a sore point.
What happened was, I think, we're not exactly sure. Their kids were older because they got married a lot before us. Their parents were aging. They had some health issues. So, and I don't think they knew how to end, whether they potentially wanted to end it or not, but it slowly petered out. We're still in touch with them.
Okay.
But
we haven't seen them in a while. So now we just Facebook and email on occasion.
So I have a question going way back. I know this one is going to be maybe tough to answer, but you kind of resisted the swapping and the sexual approaches from them for quite a while. Mm-hmm. After you finally gave in and tried it, I guess, can you take us back to like after that happened? Like what happened between the two of you? Like were you like, I could see that being a little destabilizing. I don't know what it.
It wasn't at all. It was. We were totally comfortable with them because they were really good friends, mm-hmm. And it was really hot. I think it just.
It just built on our relationship.
It just built on our relationship, and we were pretty tight at the time. And this wasn't destabilizing or unnerving at the time. It's funny because now I guess you could say we're experienced. And we've listened to lots of podcasts, and in addition to yours, sorry about that. And a lot of the things people say about communications and building or reinforcing their relationship, we always had a great relationship, and we realize now that we were constantly communicating about this and constantly checking in, and we found it hot to see each other with other couples and getting pleasure from it.
Right.
So I don't think we ever had jealousy. No. And it just was just good, and it just felt natural.
Right.
So,
right. And from them, and then from going on the years with other people we've met, what we've learned is we were always good together from day one when we were together. But you learn techniques from other people, so you sort of throw those in, and all of a sudden, and so our relationship sexually has gotten better.
Yeah. Oh, it adds to it. That your relationship with other people adds a lot to your relationship.
It definitely does. And Donna always used to say, especially once we started playing with them, that, it's not meant to be monogamous. Humans are not meant to be monogamous.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I used to say that the only animals that are monogamous are humans. I mean, there are
penguins.
There are a few that mate for life, but pretty much it's just not natural to just be with only one partner. But we always joked, but like years ago, we always joked, I would never have an affair without you there.
Right.
Like if I play with somebody, you're going to be there.
Right.
And that's always been our thing. And I'll sometimes just play with women without him, but
I never play without her.
He never plays without her. And usually when we play, 9 times out of 10 we play in the same room. We play together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, to fast forward a bunch of years, so we were slowly starting to see them less, and also during that time, Donna has a problem in wearing bathing suits. So we sought out and found in New Jersey a clothing optional beach, which we started going to. It's a fairly famous large beach at the very northern end of the Jersey Shore. And we would go there all the time. And it's, though there's some fooling around on the beach, it's a federal beach. So if they catch you, you could be in big trouble.
Right.
So,
tell the story about the first time we went.
Yeah, so the first time we went, you tell the story.
The first time we went, I said to him, it's clothing optional. I'll probably take off my top, but I'm not sure if I'm going to, take off my bathing suit bottom. And we hadn't been to the beach in years. We're chugging with a big ice chest with food and chairs on our backs and a blanket. And he goes to put out the blanket and put down the chairs, and by the time he turns around, I'm totally naked. What happened? And I said, well, I'm looking at all the people on the beach. Nobody's wearing a bathing suit. I would feel out of place if I was the one wearing the bathing suit. And that was the end of it, and I feel much better when I'm not in a bathing suit than when I am in a bathing suit.
So that was the start.
And so us by going to that beach, and we would go whenever we can, whenever we were able to, Donna had said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could find a place like this to go on vacation where it would be clothing optional? Thanks to the internet, started doing some research and came across a bunch of places. Desire, Hedo, I think it's called Temptations, Hidden Beach. And we just kind of fell into one travel agency who specializes in one of the main travel agencies that specialize in this. And they spent a lot of time explaining to us the differences between the different resorts. And in listening to us, they said Desire is probably where you fit.
Which travel agency was it?
It was Castaways.
Okay. Yeah.
In the Woodlands near Houston.
Okay.
And we've stuck with them ever since. We kind of, you kind of become a creature of habit, right? And they've been good to us, and we have our account there, and they kind of know us by now. And so we went to Desire, and we went to Pearl, and
which had just opened.
Like
2 months before.
And so we went there, and it was probably only half occupied, which was great for us for a first time. We didn't go. We knew that it's an area where you can, meet other couples to play. In addition, they told us there are couples who come just for the clothing optional and kind of the sexy environment. And so we went with the idea of we're not going to play with anyone. We're just going to have a good time and be in a sexy environment and be able to run around naked.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's what we did.
And that's basically what we did. But while we were there, we met one couple from Texas who we hung out with a lot, and they were just really friendly, and they weren't hitting on us, even though they played. And they taught us about the websites.
Ah, okay.
Of course, also at night in the hot tubs, you're learning. So we didn't know about the dating sites for the lifestyle.
Okay.
So Roger gave us some great advice as to how to set up a profile. and we went home and registered for SDC. He had recommended that we pay at least for the beginning membership. He said, so, otherwise people don't take you seriously as a free member, and we block free members from seeing our profiles. Mm-hmm. We set it up, and then he validated us. And so we, suddenly became real, uploaded some pictures. We were kind of off to the races from there.
Yeah.
And then
so we met a couple contacted us
a few weeks later,
and Alex talked to them, and he said, well, the wives have to talk. And we've learned this now, that the wives have to talk, because you want to make sure the wife is on the same page, that the husband's not just doing this without the wife. So
right. And not trying to just convince his wife.
Right. And so I was on the phone with her for quite a while, and I said, not a problem, let's meet. And
so we met for dinner. We had kind of met. They lived about a half hour north of us. So we met midway at a restaurant that we knew.
Right. And we hit it off. We ended up. They said, "Do you want to go back to their house?" And we were like, "Okay."
Well, had you talked about it leading up to that? Like, if things go well, we're ready to take it beyond getting naked and just going to a clothing optional resort to, hey, we're ready to start playing with couples again.
Yeah. So when they reached out to us, I showed Donna the profile first, and I go, "What do you think?" And she said, "Oh, they look really nice. They're like around our age, and maybe now they're a tad older, and an attractive couple. And it was a great profile, like that good command of the English language." And
it's important.
And when we met them for dinner, we just hit it off. But in anticipation of dinner, we talked about, well, if they invite us home, do you want to go? She goes, okay, we'll see if I like them. Right. And, and we also talked about our, comfort and what level of play, if it leads to that. And,
right. And I still do it. I usually, now when we meet couples, I'm always like, I'm going to be soft swap unless I feel really comfortable with the person, and then I'll go. And that's still my attitude.
But we went home with them, and it was a full swap.
Yeah.
So how do you communicate that to each other in the moment? Because I think that maybe is something that people struggle with, not us personally. We've never struggled with that.
Never.
But the like, hey, where are you at? Where am I at? And doing that on the fly. So
at that time, and I remember the dinner pretty distinctly, we just looked at each other and said, sure.
Right. I think we were just ready to try it.
We were ready to try it, and we were really comfortable with both of them. And they're very good friends of ours to this day. We talk to them all the time, and whenever they pass through Florida or we're up north, we get together. Not always for play. I mean, we have vanilla dates with them also. They've become very close friends on all levels.
Right.
But we have, over the years, figured out communication. So we did have screwed up.
We had a lot of screw-ups. Like afterwards, we would play with a couple, and then afterwards we're headed home. We're like, why did we do that? Well, you didn't say no. Well, you didn't say no. So now we're like, we know the four people have to like each other. We have to communicate. It has to be a four-way discussion. And now we sort of we'll sit next to each other, which that wasn't always the case. We used to sit across from each other. So now we sit next to each other so we can sort of nudge each other. And now we have sort of a signal of, if my hand goes on his knee, I'm like, okay. If my hand goes on his knee and squeezes it, it's like, no way.
And then we have a couple of safe words.
Right. But we've had a few times we were like, why did we do that?
Yeah, there was once or twice. Once I invited a couple back, and it was afterwards I was wondering why I did that. And there were other times that Donna said, sure, we'll go back with you. And I'm like, we are? Kind of
right.
Why are we doing this?
Right.
And
but I think that was more.
We haven't done that in a few
years. Right.
So we've gotten better at it.
Right. And we don't take one for the team anymore.
I don't think we really ever did.
Well, there was one couple that we met, and we played with, they seemed okay. We played with them. The woman, Alex really liked the woman, but the husband I couldn't stand. So I was like, that's it. We played with them once, but they want to get together again.
Yeah.
No, So, so it's sort of hit and miss sometimes.
So after that first couple and you did the full swap and you left, and was it like, yeah, this is for us, we're ready to just move forward, or was there, I guess, how did it
hesitation?
Yeah, how has it progressed since then?
I think
they told us to go on SLS.
Yeah, they had told us also, like, we were on SVC, and they said, where we are up in the Northeast, SLS is more popular, and, we understood that there's geographic differences, and so we also signed up for SLS and cloned our profile and pictures.
Right.
And we started meeting a lot of people.
I don't know, did people contact us, or did we contact people? I think
the whole Connecticut crowd.
Right, and then a few,
and then we
I think people may have contacted us, or they were having a party. They invited us to their parties.
It was we saw it was for us, but the first few couples we met and we played with, like on first date, were amazing couples who we're still very good friends with. Mm-hmm. One couple we're meeting with a bunch of their friends who we know down at Desire over Halloween.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I had met up with them just for lunch during on a business trip, and they said, "Hey, they're going to Desire a couple weeks before we are in June," and it's like, "Oh, we should have coordinated this." And then I said, "But we're going back for Halloween," and then they told me who's going, and it's like I whip out my phone and start texting Donna like. They're going over Halloween, and guess who else is going with them?
Right. Can you take some more days off of work? Right.
And Donna's like, okay, I'm on it.
I just quit my job. Don't worry about it.
So, we met some amazing people who became very close friends, and then we started meeting people that were not so great always.
Yeah.
Then
there's people you click with, and there's people you're not. That's the way it is.
Right. Exactly. And we're trying now to be, I don't want to use the word pickier, but choosier maybe.
Yeah.
She said that we have to definitely connect with them, because you want to connect with them inside the bedroom as outside the bedroom. I want to play with people that I can be friends with. Like we mentioned, like trapeze, or we used to go to a club in Connecticut, and there it's like anonymous sex. So you go to the club, you really don't know anybody, you're just playing, and then there's other bodies and you can possibly play. So that's one aspect of it. But if you're going to have somebody at your house or go to a party, I prefer it that I have that other connection. You can actually have a conversation that you like them.
Yeah.
I guess a term that I've been hearing kind of thrown around now is like sapiosexuals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the intellect is very important. And just also kind of like the friendship level, of getting to know people. Though we do, if we meet a couple and we go out, we'll play on first date. I mean, we're empty nesters, like we said, so we could bring people back.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've had good meetings, and then like Alex was texting you on Twitter or something with somebody.
Oh, this is a great story.
This couple. And it turned out they were going to be down in Florida doing some diving. And we said, okay, so when you're down here, connect with us. And we said, yeah, they'll never connect with us. And sure enough,
about 2 weeks before 2 weeks before they were coming down, all of a sudden I get a private message on Twitter. Hey, so we got our plans set up. Can you meet us down in South Beach? We said, sure, why not? And we
went down with no expectations. We made dinner reservations. We figured if we didn't like them, we can always just go to dinner ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we met them at their hotel. We went across the street to another hotel for drinks, and we just clicked. And they're probably, 20 years younger than us. Mm-hmm. And but we just clicked, and the conversation flowed. And then we went out to dinner, and then we're like, "Well, do you want to go back to they asked, "You want to go back to a hotel room?" We said, "Yeah." And we had a fantastic time.
It was really hot. I mean, they were great.
But they live in Chicago.
Yeah.
In Florida. But we happened to be in Chicago
just a year ago, Mother's Day,
and we texted them and said, "Hey, we're going to be there. Are you available?" And they made time, and we got together, and it was just as fantastic the second time.
So. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's fun too to hear. You sometimes, like, we'll hear from people, or you talk to people, and they say, "Oh, well, there's nobody in my area, and it's just not possible." But we know we travel quite a bit to see other people, and it's not like you're necessarily making specific trips, but it's like, hey, I'm going to be in your area. Do you want to hang out? And I think just being able to be flexible enough to say, yeah, why not? Let's go see what happens. And worst case is we spend time together. And I think that's the attitude that really needs to be adopted by a lot of people, because they're just afraid to take the risk. But it's a pretty low risk. Right.
Well, and I guess you open up yourselves to so many more people, right? When you're willing to travel a little bit.
Right. Right. And when we travel, we try to, well, in Chicago, we haven't visited any clubs or anything. We just didn't have the time. But we'll go traveling to places, and we will ask friends about clubs in the area if they've been to, get recommendations. Right. And we've had amazing times.
And
some
bad,
of it.
And bad times. Well, bad in that the clubs were bad.
Not bad because we had a bad experience. It was just that the club sucked. But we also went to some amazing clubs, and some we just played by ourselves, which is for us still very hot to be in a playroom with other people and just each other. And we still very much love to have sex with each other. So it's like, so it's not an issue. Right. And then there are other times we've just met people at the club or met people at the playroom and have had an amazingly hot time, and I can't tell you what their names were.
Yeah. We don't judge.
Nope, no judgment.
Neither do we. So, but also we go to trap. We haven't gone in a few weeks, but we go a fair amount because it's pretty close and it's a really awesome club. It's very big. I mean, you've, I guess, been there.
We actually haven't been there.
But we will go someday.
So it's more fun when you go with friends. But we go, and the playrooms get very crowded because it's a large club, but it could be really hot. And we've met some really great people there, and other times we go and just have a great time by ourselves. The music's great, the dancing's great.
And you can watch.
There's good food.
Right.
And there's like something for everyone. If you're a voyeur, it's great. And if you're an exhibitionist, it's even better. And there's, people of all ages and interests. It's, you could meet a judge, or you could meet, a policeman, or a college professor, or just, we met, kind of awesome people who are blue collar. I mean, it doesn't matter to us. It's the package. It's the people.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Just normal people.
Yeah.
That's the point.
But going some back what you were saying about meeting people, when we moved down here, we really didn't know anybody. And we're like thinking, how are we going to meet people? Because when our kids were little and we moved to a new place, you met people through your kids. Mm-hmm. You met people through school or activities. And our kids are grown. And thankfully they don't live here. They visit, that's enough. So like, how are we going to meet people? And we decided not to live like one of those 55 and older communities where you would have clubs and do all the activities.
And old people.
Right. So it's been a little bit challenging to meet people, and most of the people that we have met have been through the lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, one of the fun stories, and it's a couple we've become good friends with, we knew from up north. And we met them through that first couple that connected with us through SDC. And we went to a whole bunch of house parties and some hotel parties, and they were there, a very attractive couple, and like around our age. And we just never played with them for whatever reason. We talked to them, and were very friendly with them. We just never got to play. They then...
they're now snowbirds.
Yeah, they're probably going to be more than snowbirds.
Right.
They bought an amazing apartment in Fort Lauderdale. But when they were at the beginning of the process of doing that, all of a sudden I get a text and says, hey, we're coming down to Florida. You guys around? Let's get together. And said, oh, yeah, that's great. And
they're like, how come we never played?
Yeah, they came over. We had them over for drinks. And they just came out and said, how come we've never played? We said, we were going to ask you that.
Right.
And they said, well, you're interested. And it's like, and we have we have a swimming pool that is very private.
Well, I don't wear bathing suits, so.
Yeah, because none of us wear bathing suits. Right. So part of the criteria buying this house was that we would have a very private pool. So I said, hey, let's go for a swim. So, a second later, everyone's naked in the pool. And, and it progressed from there. So, and we see them now, well, whenever they're down here, and probably within 6 months, they're going to be living here full time. And they just have become good friends.
But again, it's basically through the lifestyle that we're making new friends.
Right, yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that. But,
No.
No, yeah, we totally agree, and we've actually tried to do that multiple times ourselves. We've moved to new locations, and our first strategy was, well, let's start with the lifestyle crowd, because
see who we can meet.
Those are the most fun people. So, but
we've had different levels of success, I'd say. But
yeah, we're getting better at it, though.
yeah, that part of that could be on us.
Well, one of the things is that we really suck at is closing the deal.
Oh yeah, we do too.
But it's funny because when we meet somebody, no, I can't say that. I was going to say when we meet people here, it's a little bit easier. At Desire, we're terrible. You're flirting with people all day at the pool, and you say you want to go to dinner, and they're like, oh no. Or you meet them at the hotel, you want to go back? No. So.
Well, also sometimes we're not great at asking. So
right.
It's it was funny because on Swinger Diaries page, do you know them?
We know. Yep.
Swinger Diaries.
Yeah. So, they joke about that all the time, that they're like really bad at closing the deal. And we're going, wait a minute, that's us.
Right.
I think that's a lot of us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And even though we've been doing this for a while, we still sometimes find that challenging. But, but we've had some great successes.
Yeah. So I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. And it's not, right, we're not really conditioned to just be blunt and ask people like, hey, do you want to go back to our room? And we all know what that means. And I think, or we have some idea that it's leading somewhere. So I think that's a tough thing to learn how to do. And even when you think you know how to do it.
Well, I think it comes out of, at least for me, like respect for the other people. You're like, well, I don't know. I don't want to ask them something that they're not comfortable with. And of course, like if they're not comfortable, they'll just say no and it's okay. But it's hard to ask.
It's also a fear of rejection also.
Absolutely. I was curious about something you mentioned a few minutes ago when you said you moved to Florida and your goal was to not move into like a 55 and up community and basically try to avoid that. I guess, can you talk a little bit about navigating in the lifestyle as a couple who is older than I don't know that you're in the upper end or not, but I know there's been a lot of people that have actually messaged us and emailed us and said, well, I've been hoping to get into this, but now I'm in my 50s, so it's basically over for me. And it's like they turn 50 or they turn 55 60. And they're just like, well, sex is done. And I think we know that's not true, but I guess, can you talk about it from experience?
Right. For us, most of the people we're meeting here are, I'd say in their 50s. We just met a couple who don't play, but they
go to Desire.
And we click with them like amazing. And they're 68. And a lot of the friends that we were friends with in New Jersey are retired. They're all in their mid 60s. And everyone's still going strong. So I don't know. To me, it's like, no, Yeah, so with age, to go with somebody who's in their 20s or 30s would be too awkward. Although as our kids get older, then I guess we have to keep moving up also. But we've been with some people in their 40s. I think it's more that you can have a conversation with them and you have more in common with them.
Also,
but also, I think it's kind of weird to be with someone my kids' age.
But also, meeting couples, let's say in their early to mid 30s, it's also a little getting together is tough because they have to worry about babysitters.
Right.
The advanced planning. I mean, we met one couple at club who we really liked. We really hit it off with them, and they're really newbies. So
they're young.
And they're young, and
they have little.
And they have like little kids. So we tried getting together with them a couple of times, and no fault of theirs. They just they had babysitter problems and things like that, which we totally understand. Right. And we've just not been able to connect. when dealing with couples who have, teenagers or older kids, the kids are self-sufficient at that point, so they don't have to worry about babysitters. There's other logistical issues you have to deal with.
Sure.
Yeah.
But a babysitter is not one of them.
Right.
And also a curfew to get back, right? Because, the sitter is 14 or 15.
Yeah.
You need to get him or her home at a reasonable hour. You can't do the thing like roll in at 3 o'clock, hammered, and say, oh, okay, I guess I'll take you home now.
But I think our whole, pretty much everyone we played with, I would say, maybe there's a handful, maybe on one hand, who have been a lot younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most of the people that we have played with currently and in the past have been, say, 10 years younger to 10 years older than us. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I would hope that sex doesn't end at 60, 70. I hope we keep going.
Yeah, and I think that was sort of what we were hoping to hear is like, obviously it didn't end at 60 for you. And if you're playing with couples in their late 60s and 70s, it sounds like you've still got some life left in you, right? So, and I think that's really exciting to hear and hopefully encouraging for people that are out there going, oh, well, I'm 50 or I'm 55 and we're basically done now. And it's like, well, I don't think you're done. Like,
it's funny because some of the podcasts have had discussions about age, and they say age is just a number, and there is truth to that. It's really the person. I mean, we have vanilla friends who are our age who probably haven't had sex in 10 years, and they're like old people when we see them. Right. It's like they're aging differently than we are. And maybe it's our genes, maybe it's just the lifestyle, maybe it's the amount of Tito's we consume. I don't know what it is, but I think it's also mind over matter, right? If you have an attitude, I think, and a thought that I'm going to go out, I'm going to have a good time, and maybe you'll put on club clothes that are not always age appropriate, but are trapeze appropriate or desire appropriate, and we go out and have a great time and go dancing and drink and just play, whether by ourselves or with others. It's a mindset. It's not, you can't say, oh, I'm 55, it's over. It's because it's really not.
Right. As long as I still have my working knees,
Yeah. Well, I think there's really something to that, going out and living it up like you're 30 or 20 or 25, whatever, because so slight divergence. There was a podcast I was listening to, a different, not a lifestyle one, where they were talking about a study they did where they took all these people who were in their like 60s and 70s, and they basically put them in like a time capsule. They recreated like a building it was a house from like the 40s or 50s, and they put all these people in there, and like they were there for a couple of days or whatever, and when they left, like people who went in using canes and walkers walked out like they were back 40, 50 years ago. And just it's that sort of being in the environment
and the mindset.
Yeah, the mindset of like, hey, I'm younger again, and it keeps you younger. So right,
and it goes back to your point where you raised about that when we were looking for places to live, and we weren't necessarily looking to live in a gated community. We happened to wind up in one, and it drives me crazy. It's just not us, but it is what it is. But we had told a realtor that we're not interested in anything that's 55 or older, because that's not, even though we're that age demographic.
You want to be around little kids.
We want to be around little kids. And we're actually in our development, and it's a very small subdivision. We're probably one of the older couples who have bought in the past few years. Because there are some people who are, we bought our house from folks that are in their 80s and we're going to independent living, Florida. But most of the people buying have young kids, and there's a school bus stop, and you see that when I leave to work in the morning, I see the kids waiting for the bus, and it's great. And kids are bicycling and rollerblading and on scooters.
And I think it helps keep you young too, as opposed to my mom who's lived in a 55 and older since they moved in, and she was 62 and now she's 90. And, I'll call her. She goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to this funeral. I'm going to that funeral. I'm like, yeah, because that's what happens when all your friends get older,
Yeah.
If you want to live in that kind of, to me, that's kind of a depressing place.
By the way, she's turned over her friends. Her friends are all now like 20 years younger than her.
Yeah.
They're all in the lifestyle too, right? That she's
some of them we think might be.
Yeah.
we're gonna have to go to her house one time wearing our black rings and see who hits on us, you know. But it's but there's definitely, to age, we think, a mindset. It's we really do have a mix of friends in different ages, and it hasn't been an impediment. And I mean, we're not out seeking 35-year-olds.
Right.
Though some of them, the couples are pretty hot, but we're not, we tend to look more for people our age, plus or minus by 5 years or 10 years. Right. It's just been great. So if anyone who says that, they can't see doing it in their 50s, send them our way.
Okay. We will.
You're
great with newbies.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think Emma hanging out with me, being the younger one, keeps her young as well.
Really? So that's where this is going?
That's where it went. I had to take it there real quick.
6 months is not that much difference.
Alex is younger than me.
Yeah.
By 6 months.
Hey, me too, exactly the same.
Well, yeah. I think we have to now pry, and you said there was a funny story about your kids and the lifestyle way back at the way beginning.
Yeah, so our daughter has been dating a guy for a bunch of years, and they live.
She's going to be 25.
And
college.
And they live together, and which it was funny because they moved in together when they graduated college. They graduated college together, and they came to us, and she came to us and wanted to know how we'd feel if she moved in with her boyfriend, who we knew quite well. I mean, he's been around a lot. And, who are we to say, no, you can't? I mean, because we could say you can't. She's going to do what she wants anyway. She's an adult. But also, we're not suddenly going to be the morals police here, right? So, so anyway, for her birthday last year?
I think for her birthday.
For her birthday last year. And her boyfriend earns a good living. He's in a profession. He was going to surprise her with a trip. It turned out they were going to go to Mexico.
Cancun.
And they were going to go to Cancun. They wound up, they were going to Playa, it turned out.
Right.
And she calls Donna and she said, "Oh, we're going to Mexico. So where is it that you go in Mexico?"
And you're like, I've always told me go to a small resort down in this little fishing village. I've never given them the name. But now you're trying to find a resort to give her a name. And all the resorts that, adults only resorts are all huge. Self Exelon to one of those places. So I didn't have to give her a name. But I said,
you talked your way out of that.
Somehow I talked my way out of it.
But we asked, where are you going? And she said, "Oh, he didn't tell me yet. It's a surprise." Right. And we're going like, uh-oh.
Right.
Going, okay, we're not going to be in Mexico then. It turned out they went to a regular resort. But not.
Well, that's what they're telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But knowing our daughter,
she took pictures, and knowing our daughter.
Well, we took pictures too, but not at the resort.
Yeah.
But, you always have to take a few pictures to prove you were in Mexico, and we'll walk into town and take a picture at the lighthouse or at the sign that says Puerto Morelos to just show you were really there.
Right.
So
yeah.
But it was very funny because we suddenly
all of a sudden I was like, what do you want? Where we go?
And we've been
a couple of times, and every time we would say we're going to Mexico, they go the second time and the third time, like, you're going there again? Now they don't even ask.
They just know that's where you like to go.
Right, exactly. And we, but I think we've been pretty good at keeping our lifestyle life away from them. You hear stories about people who inadvertently have been outed, some with not such good effect on their lives.
Or just with kids finding out.
Or just with kids. Yeah, there was one couple we knew in the New York area where she loaned her daughter a jacket, and they had one of their swinger cards. She had one of those swinger cards in the pocket, and the daughter puts her hand in the pocket and pulls it out and goes, "Hey, Mom, what's this business card?"
Right. Yeah.
Not good. That's not.
Well, so I'm actually curious on this topic because, so for some reason there's this stigma. If your parents find out, it's a bad thing, right? Because they're your parents, and parents are parents, right? So from people who are trying to hide it from their kids, now that your kids are old enough, I guess, what would happen if they found out? Would there be any real negative repercussions?
I don't think so. I just think our daughter's very prudish.
Our son is not.
Our son is not, but our daughter is. So I don't know how we grew, she grew up that way.
And some recessive genes came out.
I just think that she would go, ooh, and I don't know if she would judge us, but it's totally foreign to her.
I think she'd find it very strange.
Yeah.
Our son, on the other hand, I think would be, oh, you do that?
Right.
Really? People really do that?
Yeah.
You do that?
Yeah.
But it's like, because, you suddenly have to see your parents in a different context.
Right.
Like you never think of your parents having sex.
No.
Right. So, all kids were born by immaculate conception. So,
especially me.
So, kids, you never think of your parents that way. And
my parents did.
Yeah, well, your mother did everything.
My mother tells us she did everything. She goes, yeah, I've done everything. I'm like, okay, except I know my father was, and I'm like, no, I don't think so.
But I think everything's relative. I think her concept of everything and our concept of everything is, I think, a little different.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but we've always been very open but age appropriate with our kids about sex. So and nudity. But as they got a little bit older, we started wearing clothes in the house because our son, I don't think was, by the time he was like 6, was like really comfortable, mom running around topless and stuff like that. Societal.
Right. I mean, they would come knocking on the door, and I would just go naked, and they would leave. They wouldn't come in.
Yeah.
But it was also very open as they grew up, and having, discussions about sexuality or gender identity or things like that, particularly like when they were in high school and they started becoming a lot more aware of and having gay friends and things like that. It was, kind of dinner table conversation. It wasn't like, it wasn't discussed in whispers,
Right.
It was like, oh, guess who came out to their parents this week kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
whose parents again.
Or whose parents are gay. And
in their high school, there were a lot of same-sex parents.
Right. So it's, these things were not taboo topics in our house. So it was, and then when they started coming home, my son came home his first year of college with his freshman girlfriend, who thankfully didn't work out. He asked if she could sleep in his room, and we said, sure. Then when our daughter came home with a boyfriend, she asked where he's going to sleep, and we with a very straight face said, oh, in the guest room.
No wonder she's a prude. You did it to her.
And we just said, just kidding.
He's sleeping in the garage.
So I think if it came out to them or they discovered it, I don't know if they would freak, but they would find it, suddenly they have to think of their parents as sexual beings.
Right.
Which never think of parents that way. But with us, they have met one or two of our lifestyle friends.
That's what I was going to ask.
Who is that? Like, where do you know them from? And I said, your father knows him from work. He's our accountant, an accountant friend of his. So we became friends with a lot of people through work.
Yeah.
That becomes a little tricky when they know all your friends, and all of a sudden, and now I tell my daughter we're going out, and I said we're going out to dinner with friends. She goes, oh, that's so nice, you made friends. You did.
So I was tempted to say, really pushing the envelope here. Yeah, we met them online.
Right.
Well, we didn't. But now they're to the point where they don't ask, oh, where do you know them from, and things like that. So she'll sometimes, we're going out Saturday night. It's we're heading over the track, and she'll call. We're in the car. Oh, where are you? Where are you going? And I keep going. Tell her we're going to a sex club. It's like.
So we're going out. You don't have to know where we're going. We don't ask you where you're going, right?
Well, she doesn't ask anymore. And they're used to us, and they've always, even when they were teenagers, us going out and coming home very late.
Right.
So, it wasn't, so that's not weird for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was curious, backing up again, when you made the transition from sort of being exclusive with a couple to now there's all these other couples, potentially other couples or other people being introduced. Was there, between the two of you, the discussion around your safety and your health about making that transition? Because I would imagine for the first 20 years, it was a fairly closed system and the risk is somewhat low.
It was very closed and there was no penis and vagina sex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep.
So there was never, a discussion of condoms or things like that. We always use condoms, but we also have a kind of a semi-steady girlfriend on top of everything. I mean, it's not like it's just developed over the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
She was half of a couple that we were good friends with and played with, and they broke up and got a very fast divorce. So, when, I don't know if you have friends who've gone through divorces, but like, when they, one gets the dog, one gets the house, one gets the friends, one's trying, kind of thing. So
we got her as a friend.
We got her, and then even though it was a very fast divorce, and we really liked her, and Donna and she are a bit of a number, so we were very supportive of her through the divorce. And their divorce went very quickly because they have grown kids, so there wasn't custody issues and there wasn't a lot of assets and things like that. And in Florida, we learned, is a no-fault divorce state, so you don't even need a lawyer. You could just go and file the papers.
Right. But you're digressing.
Yeah, but anyway, so
gotta keep him on track.
Basically, what he's trying to say is, so with her, we don't use a condom because with her, the only person she was ever with, like the 30-odd years she was married, was with her husband.
Okay.
And when they did play a little bit, she always used condoms. So we've sort of broken our rule with her.
And she's a little bit younger than us. They got married. They were very young. She was very young. She was in college. So, and we had that discussion with her because she was spending a lot of time with us. I mean, she comes for weekends and just, hangs out with us. So Donna and I talked about it before, and then we brought it up to her, and she needed to think about it and then kind of went for it.
Right.
So she's the only one that we don't use condoms, but everyone else, even though we're good friends, we use condoms.
Right. And what Alex does a lot, which sometimes drives me nuts, is after we've been with a couple for the evening, on the drive home, he dissects it.
I didn't get that at all.
It's just my training.
And say, what was your spell? We got this term. Like, what's your snapshot? And I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed that, and we'll pull it apart. Less for me than for him. But we always had the good communication, except for those few times we went with couples we shouldn't have gone with. But for the most part, we always play in the same room. I want to know who he's with. He wants, to sing each other with somebody. Mm-hmm. So we never really we always said we would.
And we go routinely for STI testing.
Yeah.
We're actually transitioning between primary care doctors now, but the doc we're leaving, we were out to. I think he had a hard time processing it. Because I think he found the idea a little weird. But we were out to him because I thought it's important that he knew. And then also when we get blood work done, he would routinely order an STI panel. So at least once a year, the insurance company paid for it instead of us.
Yeah.
And a few times a year get tested and, and get, a full panel for STI. So
Awesome.
Well, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think there's friends of ours in Florida were just telling us too, there's a place that you can get free testing done as well. I need to look up the name of it.
The website was freestdcheck.org, I believe. So we'll put the link in the show notes, and that's something we actually wanted to mention. It's a pretty cool resource. There's some in Florida, and they're in like maybe 15 other states.
Yeah, it's like scattered around the country, but they're not everywhere, just some certain places.
So Yeah.
Some people, probably don't get tested as much as they should because of the cost.
Yeah, it can be very expensive.
Could be, and some places could be very, very expensive.
Right. Or they don't want to talk to their doctors to get.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that a conversation that you two have on the regular with the couples that you're meeting, like whether it's at the club or if you meet them online? Have you found it easy enough to bring that conversation up? Like, hey, when were you tested? We were tested this time, or is it?
I ask directly, but we'll kind of sometimes work it into conversation about getting tested and, kind of ferret it out. But even if, look, your tests, if you're assuming all your tests are negative, you're only negative on the day they drew the bloods.
Yeah,
sure.
So you meet them 2 weeks later, they could be carrying something.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want people to be tested, you want them to test negative, but you're still going to wear a condom.
Right.
And use some protection depending upon what your comfort level is.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're also assuming some inherent risk that even those methods aren't foolproof.
Right.
Right. And that's the danger of the lifestyle.
And also for oral sex, we're not using condoms, we're not using dental dams or things like that. So, there's a certain risk of transmission of things just through oral sex.
Sure.
A lot of people don't think about, but there is a risk to it. So it's, everyone has to manage risk to the level they're comfortable with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the point.
We're not in the lifestyle, although we did meet at Desire.
We met a physician who
should not have been in the lifestyle.
Who should not have been in the lifestyle.
He was like touchy phobic,
But I think he was sorry afterwards that he spent time talking to me because there were too many touch points in our lives. We knew way too many people in common.
Sure.
He was at an institution where I trained.
Okay.
It was pretty fun. And we were introduced by another doctor from Chicago who said to me, "Hey, Alex, you really got to meet this guy. You have stuff in common." Right. And it was like, well, that was way too much stuff in common.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Well, along those lines of weird things happening, is there maybe
That's what I was going to say.
Blooper time. Like something that's happened in the last 4 or 5 years, or even in the last 20, of whether it's happened to you or because of you. Not that we've ever caused a blooper, but Emma has. And then, if there's something
you're
funny.
innocent.
Something funny that's happened to kind of show the lighter side of it, and that we're not all perfect and flawless.
So I heard someone talking at the pool bar at Pearl, and I heard something came up that, my radar went on, search mode now, and there was an industry term he used. And I turned around, I introduced myself, and I said, I didn't mean to be eavesdropping, but I heard that you do this and this. He goes, oh yeah. And he goes, what do you do? And I told him, and I said, so who do you work for? He goes, well, probably no one you ever heard of. And I said, try me. And he gave me the name of the company. And I said, oh, I'm having lunch with one of your directors next week. And he turned white. He goes, you're not going to tell him where we met. I said, what, are you fucking crazy? So anyway, and he's become a good friend of ours with his wife. And we met at Desire about 1.5 years ago and hung out with him and his they were newlyweds for 4 or 5 days. And I'm in touch with him all the time. And it's like we text each other and we talk once in a while. Yeah. So that, that was funny. There was another time.
Well, there was one woman. And she said, where are you from? We told her where she's from. Oh, she goes, do you know? And we said, yeah. She goes, well, he's my cousin. We're like, okay, well. She goes, you're not going to tell him we met. We're like, no.
And it wasn't like he was a good friend, but he was a social friend, and I see him from time to time.
Right. And he's Mr. Straight Arrow.
Yeah.
He's a southern gentleman from Memphis.
Straight Arrow. Yeah. And every time I see him to this day, and it's 4 or 5 years, I just laugh. I go, hey, I know you're a cousin blank. And I never do that. But
Yeah.
Awesome. No, I think that's the mutually assured destruction that we all signed up for.
Yeah. And then, there's been things like, you're going hot and heavy and then you can't get it up. like a little bit too much Tito's. And but I can't really think of anything.
Yeah, but the only bloopers have been like there are a couple of people like I blanked out because they were just like, why were we with them?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
It just didn't work out. Yeah.
Well,
No, that's worked.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Is there anything else? I guess, is there anything else you wanted to ask?
I was going to say the same thing.
Well, then do it. I'll stop interrupting you.
Is there anything else you would like to share?
I just think the age thing. It's like, I know there's a lot of younger people in the lifestyle. I'm amazed at how many 20-something-year-olds there are, and I'm not sure. Thinking back to the way I was when I was in my 20s, that I would have been, even if I was in a steady relationship or married, I'm not sure I could have emotionally or intellectually handled being in the lifestyle. So I'm kind of amazed that some of these young people are in it. And I think it's the comfort level, being comfortable with yourself and with your spouse or your partner comes with, I think, age. So, we meet a lot of people in their 40s and up. People in their 50s shouldn't think, well, the Sands run through the egg timer and they're done. It's not that at all.
Yeah, life begins again at, begins at 40, begins at 50, begins at 60.
Yeah, you're just constantly learning more about yourself and your partner and life in general.
Right. Exactly. And then the other thing is that, and people say this all the time, it's, life really took off for us once the kids went off to college. So they
used to go away to summer camps, so we always had our 2 months at the house.
Or 6 weeks in the summer to
ourselves. But when they both went off to college, it was
like party time. And we know people who, when suddenly the nest is empty, now suddenly have a hard time because the glue that held them together, or one of the major components that held the relationship together, with the kids, and now suddenly hey, this is real life. What are we going to do? We're not shuttling kids around to a game. We're not going to a tournament.
Well, then you get into lifestyle and make new friends.
Yeah.
Right. But people who are having issues at that point, thinking the lifestyle is going to help them, or
that's when you get trauma.
That's when you get trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting for us and encouraging to see that you two have survived the empty nest transition with flying colors, and that we have at least 28 years for Emma, at least 29 for me to go. So we're excited for that.
Your birthday's coming up,
but it's not here yet.
And if you guys find yourself back down in South Florida,
let us know.
Just let us know.
Yeah, we definitely will. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a very, awesome conversation, and we love when people are so vulnerable with us and just tell us all their story. So, and
then we'll do it again when you're 70, and then we'll show people that we weren't bullshitting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a deal.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Well, it's a date. We set our timers. And
10 years.
And we will chat soon. So have a wonderful Floridian evening.
Yeah. Thanks again.
All right, we're back. We're
still in the closet.
But we're also wearing the panda heads,
which is why our voices might be muffled.
It's actually really fun.
We'll take a picture.
So thank you again. Thank you again to our amazing hosts for letting us use their closet to record and letting us wear their panda heads.
Yeah, these are ridiculous.
And for taking us to all the amazing places in Atlanta. We had a blast.
Yes.
Thank you to Alex and Donna for dealing with this bullshit.
Sorry, guys. We didn't know we'd be finding panda heads in a closet.
Actually, probably going to take this home. So thank you to them for sharing their story. It was awesome. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we're super excited for what the next 25 to 30 years brings for us, because we'll be 60 eventually.
Yes.
Why are you talking through the eye?
It's so muffled.
It's not muffled. If you can't talk through the eye.
I'll talk through the mouth.
So
this is a disaster.
Hey, get it together. Next week, this is very serious. Next week, we have an interview with some new bloggers, the Swinging Cajuns.
They're awesome.
They're awesome. Their story is awesome. And we're not going to tell you much other than there is a huge a huge twist.
Yes.
A surprise.
So tune in next week, please. It's awesome. But you got to wait one more week for that.
And in the meantime, if you're looking to meet some other people, we recommend you look at episode 58. Listen to the episode because we interview Nami and Bruce, who are the founders of the new app Polyfinda.
Polyfinda.
Sorry, Polyfinda, as it's pronounced here on the show.
I'm crying. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, well, don't get their masks wet. Okay, I think we're done.
Yes,
we'll see everybody in a week, and
we'll post this ridiculous picture in our show notes and probably on Twitter.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.